welcome back to Coco Wednesdays. I am Coco Kinsey, and this week I'm so excited. First, let me say though, please like and subscribe if you have not. I'm a pretty eclectic person, so maybe this week might not interest you, but something will come across that will interest you. I promise. I am into sports, history, reality TV. I'm all over the place, so definitely something will come across that will interest you. So please like and subscribe. And also, before I get started, I'm so excited to announce because we just announced the winner of our first box. So, as promised, I said I would be doing another giveaway for this month. So, I wanted to talk about that. And if you like, subscribe, share, and comment so I know that you exist, then you will be entered into the drawing. And for this particular box, as with every box, you will get one of my favorite mugs as well as a bottle of cocoa from my favorite manufacturer, all natural ingredients. And this box will also have a copy of the Black Book. It is done by Toni Morrison and some others, and it is just a great collection piece. It is also an awesome conversation starter, and I don't care what walk of life you come from, it's just great to have in your collection. Definitely very informative and just a beautiful piece. So definitely like, subscribe, share, and comment to be entered into that drawing. Okay guys, so let's get started. I could not decide on this week's episode on whether I wanted to stick in the realm of Black history or did I want to talk about love a little bit with Valentine's Day coming up here in a few days. This is one of the reasons I absolutely love being a homeschool mom because we get to dive into all kind of different topics. And so one of those topics, one of the stories rather that we came across, I felt like I had elements of both in it. So I was so excited to be able to share it with you guys. And as much as I love history, I never heard this story. So I was thinking, cool. So if you have heard it, then at least I hope I'm able to tell it in a fun way. Because as a dork, I often see people reading historical text, whether it be textbooks, whether it be something like the Bible. It's always read with such a monotone, right? Like flatline. So I hope that I am able to give the story the drama that it deserves. I mean, right? Because when you read the Bible, it's filled with sex, lust, cheating, death, murder, but you would never know it sometimes. You have to give it the drama that it deserves. So I hope today that I am able to give the drama that this story deserves. And no, I will not become the BBC or a history channel per se and give you every little detail, but I do hope that I plant the seed to want you to nourish and grow your interest a little bit further to find out more information about this cool stories and other stories like it. So today I will be telling the story of Clarence King and Ada Copeland. Clarence King, also known to his wife as James Todd. Yes, I did say a different name known to his wife, James Todd. let's get into it. Now, don't judge me for my book if you see me looking down a little bit, because when you're telling history, you want to tell it accurately, right? So I have to give the facts correct. I'll try my best to keep my eye contact, but if I do have to look down, don't mind. So, Clarence King was born in 1840 in Rhode Island, and he was born to well-off enough parents, born to a white mom and dad. His dad passed away at the age of 6, so his mother would make it her goal and her duty to ensure that he has a good education. Well, he does. He goes on to go to Yale, and he gets his PhD in chemistry, and he goes on to become a geologist. Listen though, not just any geologist. He goes on to become one of the biggest geologists and one of the biggest scientists of the 19th century. Well, what comes along with being one of the biggest anybody's in the 19th century is having friends in high places. Well, one of his best friends, John Hay, who would later become Secretary of State, and Henry Adams, grandson of President John Quincy Adams. So you with me, right? Now, Ada Copeland, born a slave in 1860, she, upon being freed, would later go on to try to create a better way of life for her. So she does like most, and she moves up north. And upon coming up north, she becomes a nursemaid for a wealthy family in Manhattan. Well, guess who else is in Manhattan now, right? You guessed it. It is Clarence King. He now resides in Manhattan. He comes across Ada Copeland, and he is just smitten. So instead of, like maybe you and I would do, instead of introducing himself as Clarence King, he introduces himself as James Todd, a black man who is a Pullman porter. If you're not familiar with the Pullman porters they were servicemen who worked on the trains and, would provide you with whatever you needed to make sure you were comfortable. While they did not make the most money, at the time it was considered a pretty respectable job and decent than more, but bigger than anything, they were also the biggest employer for black people during that time. So by stating that he's a Pullman porter, it just kind of went on and just kind of stated the obvious, or what would have been considered the obvious to Ada Copeland. Now, I still know what you're saying. Is Ada Copeland blind? How in the world did she not know that she was staring at a white man? Well, also during this time, if 8 out of 8 of your grandparents, if one was black, then you were considered black as well, no matter how blonde-eyed or blue hair, no matter how blonde-haired, blue-eyed you were. And I know you're still thinking no questions? Well, not really, because who would think that anybody who was white would try to lessen their privilege? It was really a rule and a laws that states came up with to try to keep Negroes in their place and to be able to decipher who was white and who was not, and who was deserving of certain types of lifestyle and who was not. Well, he would go on not to only to marry her and carry out the charade, he actually moves across the Brooklyn Bridge to go live with her, and she doesn't have a clue until he's on his deathbed. So for 13 years, they're married, and they have 5 kids together. And he does take care of his family. So by day, he is a well-known gentleman in Manhattan, and by night, he is James Todd, the black man, the black husband, the black father, Pullman porter. So, as it would be over time, trying to keep up both lifestyles going back and forth, and Pullman boarders, being they were on the trains, they were gone for certain periods of time, which also was able to kind of fit in well enough with his lifestyle. For scientists, he had to travel, so of course there was no reason for her to question when he was gone, because it fit right into the lifestyle of his job anyway. But over time, it did pinch his pockets trying to keep up both lifestyles. His friend, John Hay, would be a huge supporter in kind of supporting him financially. Well, 13 years in, he gets sick. Clarence King gets sick, or James Todd, and he tells his wife that he is headed to Arizona to pretty much to try to get cured, or he knows, or die. Well, the latter happens, but before it happens, he sends a letter back home to his wife, mother of his 5 kids, and lets her know finally the truth, that his name is not James Todd and that he is Clarence King. And she is shocked. Obviously she had no clue, but he does let her know that he will take care of her, and that there is $80,000 in a trust, and that John Gardner will make sure that she gets everything that she needs. Then he dies. Well, John Gardner does not make sure that Miss Copeland gets everything she needs. He doesn't. Now, this is where, again, it pays to have good friends in high places and friends that actually care about you. John Hay, up until his death, he does ensure that Miss Copeland is sent checks from his own money to make sure that she is taken care of, as well as a house purchase for her, that even upon his death, his family would go on to take care of Miss Copeland for 30 years, which she has no clue that the checks are coming from his family. Well, after 30 years, when the checks stop coming, she then goes and she gets 2 lawyers. Now, I want to make sure I get their names right, because we're just talking about big people. We've already got John Hay, who's Secretary of State. We're dealing with one of the biggest scientists of the time. We've got Henry Adams in the story. Well, she gets lawyered up to try to go and get the rest of her money and figure out where in the world is her money. So then we have Everett G. Waring, the first black lawyer to argue a case before the Supreme Court, and she also gets Douglas Wetmore, who contested segregation laws in Jacksonville, Florida. So she gets 2 of the biggest black lawyers of the time to work on her case. Well, unfortunately for her, and just given the situation, who knows whether it's true or not, but it's determined that he died penniless, so she gets nothing. She is able to still live in the home purchased by John Hay, and she does go on to die, but she makes it her mission to make sure that her children are taken care of, and that this does not become, that her story becomes more than just the race, and that her kids are taken care of in a way where they don't have to worry about this kind of stuff. So 2 of her daughters go on to marry white men because they can pass. Now, when they go get married, they serve as witnesses in each other's wedding, pretty much just attesting that you're marrying a white woman and my husband's marrying a white woman too. Her sons, maybe I wouldn't say not so lucky, but they do go on and they actually enroll as soldiers, but they are actually subjected to the Jim Crow laws, and so not passing. I know it might not seem like a beautiful love story, but I do want to say that given the time that we're in, when we think about how far we've come, that you don't have to hide who you are to be with people. Now, we still got a long way to go, and I hope we continue, but we don't have to do things like this anymore, and it just speaks volumes to how far we've come. Now, Also, given the story, I know there's also, just from my research, I've seen there's also sides where some people say, oh, well, he's an oppressor who just was trying to get his rocks off with his little exotic kicks. And then there are some people that genuinely say he really, really loved her, and that he just, now obviously he was attracted to her, but he did love and care for her, but he did not want to subject her to all that came along with being with a white man, or a black woman being with a white man. So, I mean, however the story goes, just know that we've come farther and we still got a long way to go. But as we get ready for Valentine's Day, let's continue to support one another and walk in love. Whatever your love is, whether it's loving on yourself, loving on your kids, loving on your dog, your wife, your husband, your boyfriend, girlfriend, or something in between, that is what we are here for today. So in closing, I'm going to share some of my favorite couples and love with you, and I hope you have a beautiful week. I look forward to seeing you soon. Much love, peace, and blessings. On this story, check out Martha A. Sandweiss's book, Passing Strange, a Gilded Age tale of love and deception across the color line.